Good morning, students. Welcome to another episode of Yangchen IAS history class. So, if you remember in the last class, we have studied regarding the advent of the Europeans. So, today we'll continue from that class only, from ahead where we have left. And we will see the parts of modern India which are very important from your point of view of exam. Socio-religious reform movements. Okay, what are the socio-religious reform movements which took place during those times, and who were the people responsible for these movements? Okay, so number one was Raja Ram Mohan Roy, and he founded the Samaj which is known as the Brahmo Samaj. So Raja Ram Mohan Roy is known as the father of modern India or the herald of the new age. He's also known as bridge between the past and the present, and he's also known as the first modern man of India because of his very progressive views. Okay, and he's also known as the father of Indian Renaissance. He believed in monotheism, that is the worship of a single entity or a single god, and he opposed idol worship. Raja Ram Mohan Roy established the Atmiya Sabha in Calcutta in 1815 in order to propagate the monotheism and to fight against the evil customs and practices in Hinduism. तो उस जमाने में क्या था, पॉलीथिज्म का जो there was a lot of polytheism going on. That means Hindus were worshipping a lot of different gods, many gods, multiple gods, and their faith was also dwindling. So what he did, he established an organization named Atmiya Sabha in 1815 in order to propagate the monotheism and to fight against the evil customs and the practices which were prevalent in Hinduism during those times. He got legitimization to his views from the Upanishads. He read the Upanishads thoroughly, and the Vedas also he read thoroughly, and he understood that if we were to progress as a society in the social front, then we have to take the help of the Vedas and mainly the Upanishads. So he was a person who had followed what was written in the Upanishads. He started a paper called Samvat Kaumudi. This was in Sanskrit in 1821. In 1822, he started another paper known as Miratul Akhbar, which was the Persian newspaper that he started. In the same year, Raja Ram Mohan Roy and Dwarkanath Tagore jointly started a newspaper called Bongodotto. Okay, these are some points we have to remember. In 1825, he started the Vedanta College at Calcutta. In 1825, he started the Vedanta College at Calcutta. In 1828, August, he founded the Brahmo Samaj. In 1828, this is important, August, he founded the Brahmo Samaj, and later in 1845, the name Brahmo Samaj was given to it by Devendranath Tagore. Initially, it was Brahma Sabha, and later the name Brahmo Samaj was given. Again, the Brahma Sabha Orthodox Hindus led by Radhakant Dev started the Dharma Sabha. So there were offshoots from the Brahmo Samaj which were coming out, and one of them was the Dharma Sabha. If you continue, in 1829 December 4th, Sati was abolished by Governor General William Bentinck, and here this Sati was also a very evil custom which was prevalent during that time, where Hindu widows had to go through self-immolation. That is, they were burnt at the funeral pyre of their husbands. Okay, and in 1831 he went to England. Raja Ram Mohan Roy went to England to argue the case of Akbar II before the Board of Council. The Mughal Emperor Akbar Shah II gave Raja Ram Mohan Roy the title of Raja. So Akbar Shah II, the Mughal Emperor, gave the title Raja to Raja Ram Mohan Roy. After the death of Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Brahmo Samaj was divided into various sects, and Adi Brahmo Samaj, there was one sect which was led by Devendranath Tagore, and Bharatiya Brahma Samaj, which was led by Keshav Chandra Sen. So these two you have to remember, these two were the offshoots after Raja Ram Mohan Roy died. Adi Brahmo Samaj, which was led by Devendranath Tagore, and Bharatiya Brahmo Samaj, which was led by Keshav Chandra Sen. They were started in 1866. So these points you have to remember on the for the exams. Sadharan Brahma Samaj was also another offshoot, and it was started by Ananda Mohan Bose in 1878. Devendranath Tagore was also the founder of the Tattva Bodhini Sabha in Calcutta in 1839. Keshav Chandra Sen started a paper called the Indian Mirror in 1861. Brahma Samaj reached outside Bengal under Keshav Chandra Sen, and Keshav Chandra Sen was the first Indian also who attempted to reform the society on all the Indian bases, on all factors in which Indian society was lagging. Keshav Chandra Sen wanted to reform the society. So Adi Brahma Samaj, Devendranath Tagore; Bharatiya Brahma Samaj, Keshav Chandra Sen; Sadharan Brahma Samaj, Ananda Mohan Bose. 1866, Adi Brahma Samaj, Bharatiya Brahma Samaj, and Sadharan Brahma Samaj 1878. Okay, so this you have to remember. So this Indian Mirror also you have to remember. This was a paper in 1861 established by Keshav Chandra Sen. Okay. Now Surendranath Banerjee, another social reformer during that time, was the first Indian to take up his political activity on all the Indian bases. And Surendranath Banerjee was also very important for the freedom struggle point of view. Okay. Achha, Raja Rammohn Roy wrote a book which was known as the Precepts to Jesus. It was written in English. This you have to remember. And Tuhfat ul Muwahhiddin. This was also a book written by Raja Rammohn Roy, and the English translation is The Gift to Monotheists. Okay. So if you continue with the social reforms during that time, we will see that there were several other organizations that started during that time. One among them was the Prarthana Samaj. One among them was the Prarthana Samaj. Prarthana Samaj was founded in 1867 in Bombay by Dr. Atmaram Pandurang. Okay. Prarthana Samaj was founded not by M.G. Ranade, but it was founded in 1867 by Dr. Atmaram Pandurang, which was an offshoot of the Brahma Samaj. It was also an offshoot, another sect of the Brahma Samaj. It was later joined by M.G. Ranade and R.G. Bhandarkar. Okay. There was another Samaj which was known as the Arya Samaj. It is still going on nowadays also. It was founded by Swami Dayanand Saraswati in 1875. He considered Vedas as eternal and infallible, and his slogan was "Go back to the Vedas." Sometimes this question comes, whose slogan was "Go back to the Vedas"? So the answer will be Swami Dayanand Saraswati. Okay, Arya Samaj was founded in 1875, and in 1867 Prarthana Samaj was founded by Dr. Atmaram Pandurang. So you have to remember these points. So Swami Dayanand Saraswati was the first to teach an aggressive, reformed and militant Hinduism. A militant sort of flavor was there in the Hinduism during that time, which was preached in the Arya Samaj by Swami Dayanand Saraswati. So it was Hinduism had a martial outlook to it. Okay, Dayanand Saraswati was also known as Mool Shankar. He founded the Arya Samaj at Bombay in 1875. Sorry, this is not 15, it's 18. Okay, it's 1875. And he is known as Luther of Hinduism because he preached a very radical outlook of Hinduism. So he is known as the Luther of Hinduism. He was the first to use the terms Swarajya, Swabhasha and Swadharma. Swarajya means self-rule, Swabhasha means our own mother tongue, and Swadharma means our own religion. Swabhasha, Swadharma and Swarajya. He was the first to consider Hindi as a national language, and he also started the Shuddhi movement. Okay, this Shuddhi movement was to reconvert all those people who had converted into other religions from Hinduism. So this Shuddhi movement is also important from the point of view of the exam and the freedom struggle, social reforms movement before the freedom struggle. His book Satyarth Prakash is a commentary on the Vedas. So what book he wrote? He wrote the book Satyarth Prakash. He started the Dayanand Anglo-Vedic College. In 1866. and Arya Prakash was the newspaper started by Dayanand Saraswati. What was the newspaper? Arya Prakash. And what was the book? The book was Satyarth Prakash. Arya Prakash is the newspaper, Satyarth Prakash is the book. What was the movement that he started? The Shuddhi movement. And his slogan was go back to the Vedas and also Swarajya, Swabhasha and Swadharma. Okay. So we can go to the next point. We'll come to Ramakrishna Mission. Okay. Ramakrishna Mission is very much influenced by the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna Paramhans, who was born in Kumarpukur village in the Hooghly district of Bengal. His early name was Shuddhiram Gadadhar Chatterjee. He was a priest in the Dakshineshwar Kali temple, and so he is called the saint of Dakshineshwar. Dakshineshwar is the temple which is in Calcutta, and he used to worship goddess Kali in that temple. His most famous disciple was Vivekananda, who was born in a Kayasth family of Calcutta. He attended the parliament. This is important. He attended the parliament of religions. This is religions. Okay, this is religions at Chicago in 1893, September 11. So he had addressed everyone as dear brothers and sisters, and after that, the speech that he gave, it moved the entire world. It moved the entire world. So he became really famous as a saint. Okay. Now if you see, we'll see that he was invited at the Congress of the History of Religions at Paris also in 1900. He founded the Ramakrishna Mission on 1st May 1897, and in 1899 the mutt or the center of the mission was shifted to Belur. The mutt, that is the center of all the religious activities of the mission, was shifted to Belur. Okay. He started two papers which was named the Prabuddha Bharat in English and Udbodhan in Bengali, which was a fortnightly. So Prabuddha Bharat was started in English and Udbodhana was started in Bengali. He is also called the Patriot Saint of India. He is also called what? He is also called the Patriot Saint of India. Just a minute. Okay. He is also described as a cyclonic Hindu. In 1898, Sister Nivedita, Margaret Elizabeth Noble, an Irish lady was initiated to Brahmacharya by Vivekananda, and who accompanied him in all his religious and spiritual pursuits. Then we'll come to the Theosophical Society. The Theosophical Society was founded by Madame Helena Blavatsky and Colonel H.S. Olcott in New York in 1875. This Theosophical Society was important because it was inspired by the Hindu Upanishads. And Dr. Annie Besant also came to India in 1893. She was the president of the organization once upon a time. Okay. Annie Besant is also known for her involvement in the Home Rule movement. In 1898, she started the Central Hindu School at Banaras. It later became Banaras Hindu University under Madan Mohan Malviya. So this Banaras Hindu University, which is often known as the BHU. This BHU was started actually by Dr. Annie Besant, and it later on became the Banaras Hindu University, which initially was the Central Hindu School at Banaras. Okay. Now, Dr. Annie Besant was also the first woman to become the president of the Indian National Congress in 1917. So this is also an important question. Okay, they will ask that who was the president of Indian National Congress who was not an Indian, who was a foreigner. So the answer will be Dr. Annie Besant. Plus, she was the first woman also to become the president of the Indian National Congress. Okay. So these certain important points you have to remember. Okay, Parliament of Religions at Chicago, 1893, uh, where Vivekanand was invited for the lecture, and the Prabodha Bharat and Udbodhana in these are the newspapers. Patriot Saint of India, Cyclonic Hindu, Sister Nivedita, Dr. Annie Besant, Theosophical Societies, Madame Blavatsky, and also the role of Dr. Annie Besant as the first woman president of INC of Indian National Congress in 1917. Okay, so Dr. Annie Besant started the Home Rule League with the cooperation of Bal Gangadhar Tilak in 1916. This Home Rule League is very important from the point of view of the freedom struggle and also your exams. So this Home Rule League was started in 1916 with cooperation of Bal Gangadhar Tilak and with Dadabhai Nauroji as its president. So this was also a very important part of the freedom struggle of India, okay, where Dr. Annie Besant was taking part. We'll come to the next Young Bengal movement, okay. Young Bengal movement was started by Mr. Henry Vivian Derozio, who was a teacher at the Calcutta Hindu College. His followers were known as Derosians, and they attacked the old traditions and decadent customs of India. These followers were known as Derosians. Okay, in 1828 he started the Academic Association. So these are some points we have to remember. Henry Vivian Derozio started the Young Bengal movement. Then there are some other important names we have to remember, like Gopal Ganesh Agarkar. He was a reformer from Maharashtra and advocated the power of human reason, okay, scientific logic. He founded the Deccan Education Society at Pune in 1884 with Tilak, V.K. Chiplunkar and Jyotiba Phule, okay. Jyotiba Phule was important because he belonged to a low caste of Mali from Maharashtra, and he struggled against upper caste domination and Brahmanical supremacy through his Satya Shodhak Samaj. This is important. Satya Shodhak Samaj was founded by Jyotiba Phule in 1873, where he fought against Brahmanical supremacy. Correct? He wrote Ghulamgiri in 1872, exposing the conditions of the backward classes. So what the book that he wrote was known as the Ghulamgiri in 1872. He pioneered the widow remarriage movement. So he was an advocate of widow remarriage movement also in Maharashtra and worked for the education of women. Then we come to Dev Samaj. Okay, Dev Samaj was started in 1887 by Shiv Narayan Agnihotri. Dev Samaj was started in 1887 by Shiv Narayan Agnihotri. The religious text of this Samaj was Dev Shastra and the teaching Dev Dharma. So these are some points you have to remember, okay. So there are some other important names such as N.M. Joshi. Please go through it yourself. H.N. Kunzru. He founded the Seva Samiti at Allahabad in 1914 with the objective of social service. With the objective of social service during the natural calamities and promoting education, sanitation, physical culture, etc. So this H.N. Kunzru name you have to remember. You have to remember N.M. Joshi, who was initially a member of Gokhale's Servants of India Society. Okay, he founded the Social Service League at Bombay and also founded the All India Trade Union Congress in 1920 at Bombay. Okay, and started the Indian Trade Union Federation, ITUF, Indian Trade Union Federation. So he was working for the laborers, who and he urged them to form communities or groups to fight for their rights. Okay. N.M. Joshi, H.N. Kunzru, Dev Samaj, okay, Jyotiba Phule, Satya Shodhak Samaj, widow remarriage movement of Jyotiba Phule, okay, Young Bengal movement by Henry Vivian Derozio, Deccan Education Society by Gopal Ganesh Agarkar. Excuse me. Then we come to Veera Salingam Pantulu. He was very prominent social reformer of South India in the second half of the 19th century, founded the Rajamundry Social Reform Association in 1878. He founded the Rajamundry Social Reform Association in 1878, whose objective was the promotion of what? Widow remarriage. Veerasalingam Pantulu. These are important names you have to remember. Then these are some Hindu reform movements. Let us go to some Muslim reform movements. The number one was Aligarh movement. This was very important because this movement was started by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan in 1817, and Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was a very important Muslim intellectual during that time. He started the journal Tahzeeb ul Akhlaq and advocated rational approach towards religion. So Tahzeeb ul Akhlaq was started by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. It was a journal, and what he propagated a rational approach towards religion. He also founded the Muhammadan Literary Society at Calcutta. Okay, the Muhammadan Literary Society at Calcutta. In 1877, this is the most important work of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. In 1875, he founded the Aligarh Muhammadan Anglo-Oriental College. Aligarh Muhammadan Anglo-Oriental College. Later it became the Aligarh Muslim University, which is operating till now. Altaf Hussain Hali, Dr. Nazir Ahmed, Nawab Mutin ul Mulk, Shirag Ali were the prominent leader of the Aligarh movement. So this some names you have to remember. And Sir Syed Ahmed Khan also founded the Muslim Educational Conference in 1866. Okay. Then we come to the Ahmadiyya movement. It was founded by Mirza Ahmed, okay, in Punjab. This name you have to remember. Then we come to Sikh reform movements. Okay, in 1873, the Singh Sabha movement was founded. Singh Sabha movement was founded at Amritsar. Akali movement was also started for Sikh reform. Then Kuka movement also started. Okay. And why was the Kuka movement important? Because it started with the aim of Sikh reform and restoration of the Sikh sovereignty in Punjab by driving the British away. So this Kuka movement was basically directed against the British rule, and it aimed at establishing the Sikh sovereignty in Punjab. Kuka movement was founded by Bhagat Jawahar Mal, popularly known as the Siah Sahib. Okay, so it was started by Siah Sahib, also known as the Bhagat Jawahar Mal. Okay. Kukas recognized Guru Gobind Singh as the only true Guru of the Sikhs. So there, as you know, there were various gurus starting from Guru Nanak Sahib to Guru Gobind Singh. So Guru Gobind Singh was considered as the only true Guru of the Sikhs by this Kuka movement. Some other reformers we have to remember, like Professor D.K. Karve, who took the cause of widow remarriage and started the Indian Women University at Bombay in 1916. Indian Women University at Bombay in 1916. B.M. Malabari also started a crusade against child marriage, and his efforts were crowned by the enactment of the Age Consent Act in 1891. This is important. The Age Consent Act of 1891, where B.M. Malabari, where he worked against child marriage, and his efforts were rewarded by this act, Age Consent Act, where it was prohibited that the children could not be married before a certain age. Ahrar movement was founded in 1910 under the leadership of Maulana Muhammad Ali. So you have to remember these points. Okay. Then we'll come to a major part of the during the starting of the freedom struggle, which is the revolt of 1857. Okay. It is also known as the Sepoy Mutiny and the Great Mutiny of 1857, which took place during the period Governor Generalship of Lord Canning. This is important. Lord Canning. Okay. The centers and leaders of the movement were Lucknow में कौन इसका वो था? Begum Hazrat Mahal took the forefront, took the leadership in Lucknow. Begum Hazrat Mahal. In Kanpur, Nana Sahib. Delhi, General Bakht Khan. Bihar, Kunwar Singh. In Jhansi, Rani Lakshmibai. In Faridabad, Maulvi Ahmadullah. In Bareilly, Khan Bahadur. Some points, these names you have to remember, okay? Especially Jhansi, Rani Lakshmibai, Lucknow, Begum Hazrat Mahal, Kanpur Nana Sahib, Delhi General Bakht Khan, Bareilly Khan Bahadur, okay? So the revolt of 1857 ended in failure, but it promoted the spirit of nationalism and patriotism. It was basically not very successful, but it was successful in starting the spirit of nationalism, of freedom, of a sense of togetherness among the Indians, okay? The 19th native infantry of Behrampur, which refused to use the greased cartridge and the Enfield rifle, started the mutiny in February 26, 1857. Okay? 19th Native Infantry at Behrampur, they refused to use what? They refused to use what? They refused to use the cartridges of the Enfield rifle because it was said that these cartridges were smeared with the fat of cows and pigs. So since it is not recommended to use pig fat among Muslims, and it is also considered a sin to use or to touch or to come in contact with cow flesh or cow meat or fat. So these Hindus and Muslims especially, they started revolting against the usage of these cartridges. This was the reason. The first shot was fired on March 29th by Mangal Pandey. Okay, he belonged to UP and he was working under the 14th Bengal Infantry. The 14th Bengal Infantry at Barakpur in Bengal. So if you see, the first shot was also started in Bengal, and the first mutiny which they refused to use the Enfield rifle, the cartridges of the Enfield rifle, also started in Behrampur, which is also in Bengal. Okay, now Mangal Pandey was hanged to death for this revolt on 29th March 1857. Okay, May 10th 1857 witnessed the real mutiny at Meerut. So the real fight occurred at Meerut. Then it occurred also at Delhi on 11th May. So 10th May and 11th May 1857 were very important dates associated with the revolt of 1857. Okay, so we will see certain tribal movements also. These tribal movements are very important from your perspective of exam. These tribal movements, we'll see the dates, and along with, we will not go into much detail. Okay, so like in Assam, the Kutch Nagar, it happened in 1882. Sambudhan. Okay, Sambudhan was the person who started the Sambudhan was the person who started the revolt. It happened in Assam in 1882, and the place and the tribe associated was Kutch Nagar. Okay, in 1828 to 1833, Mr. Gomdhar Kuwar, who was from Assam, he also revolted against the British rule. Okay, and this happened in 1828 to 33. This Santhal rebellion is also very important because it happened in the Rajmahal Hills from 1855 to 56, and it was under the leadership of Sidhu and Kanhu. Okay, this is important. Santhal revolt. Okay, Munda revolt, Birsa Munda, 1899 to 1900. Bhil revolt, South Rajasthan, Govind Guru. Okay, Oraon revolt, Jatra Bhagat. Kuki, Manipur revolt. Okay, Manipur, by Rani Gaidiniliu in 1917 to 1919. This is also important. This comes the Kuki revolt under Rani Gaidiniliu. It happened in Manipur. Okay, so you can choose to remember which one of them, and you can write it down on your copies, so it will be easy to memorize it. You have to remember basically the names and when it occurred and where it occurred. Okay. So if we continue with the revolt of 1857, we'll see that that many Britishers also lost their lives. Okay, that time the Bahadur Shah II, Bahadur Shah Zafar, was made the Emperor of India. At last, he surrendered to Lieutenant W.S.R. Hodgson on September 21, 1957, at Humayun's tomb in Delhi. Later on, he had to surrender because the Indians lost. The capture of Delhi and the proclamation of Bahadur Shah as the Emperor of Hindustan gave a positive meaning to the revolt. So before that, what happened? The English had taken control of everything in India. The economy, the finances, the polity and the social, everything was under the British. But what happened during the revolt of 1857? Bahadur Shah Zafar was proclaimed as the Shahanshah Hindustan, that is Emperor of Hindustan. The immediate cause of 1857 revolt was the introduction of the grease cartridges. Okay. And there was one more point that is important, that the educated middle class of the Indian population did not support the revolt. Why? Because they were educated and they had already been anglicized. They had been Europeanized to a certain extent, and they did not take part in the revolt. As a result, the revolt of 1857 was put down. Okay, it happened during the Governor Generalship of Lord Canning, who was later on appointed as the Viceroy of India. So the last Governor General was Lord Canning, and the first Viceroy of India was also Lord Canning. So this is an important question. Okay. On November 1, 1858, a proclamation was made by the Queen to the people of India in 18 languages. On November 1, 1858, a proclamation was made by the Queen in which it was written that from now onwards, there will be no East India Company, and all the affairs of the East India Company which is happening in India will come under the power of the Crown. That means the Queen will take authority over all the happenings, all the affairs which were taking place in India. So the English Crown became the head of India. Okay. Okay, there are some other important things that we have to remember. Where the best and bravest military leader of the rebels was Rani of Jhansi. It was said by Hugh Ross. He was also a general under the English. Okay, and the revolt was completely crushed in 1858, and Benjamin Disraeli described the revolt as a national uprising. Okay. V.D. Savarkar, in his book First War of Independence, called it the First War of Independence. Some people call it merely a Sepoy Mutiny, but there are many historians who call it as the First War of Indian Independence. Okay, and there is one more important book written by Surendranath Sen. The name is 1857. Okay, this you have to remember. And Veer Savarkar's book was First War of Independence. This is important. Okay. Then we will slowly go to the Great Indian National Movement. Okay, this is the freedom struggle. So what happened? The Indian National Congress. This is a very important occurrence. The Indian incident. The Indian National Congress was founded. Okay, it was established in 1885, December 28, okay, where it was established at Gokul Das Tejpal Sanskrit College in Bombay. Okay, there was a person known as A.O. Hume, a retired civil servant who helped Indians to establish the Indian National Congress. The first president of the Indian National Congress was W.C. Banerjee, Bhumesh Chandra Banerjee. Okay. The Indian Association of S.N. Banerjee and Ananda Mohan Bose organized an all-Indian national conference in 1883, December. Okay. The term Congress was desired from the history of the United States of America. The Congress word was taken from the history of United States of America, USA. What is the meaning of Congress? The word Congress means assembly of the people. Now, the name Congress was suggested by the Grand Old Man of India, who is also known as whose name is Dadabhai Naoroji. Okay, Dadabhai also established the East Indian Association in 1866. A.O. Hume was the General Secretary of INC till 1892. So A.O. Hume continued as the General Secretary till 1892. The second session of INC met at Calcutta in December 1886 under the presidency of Dadabhai Naoroji. Second session of INC कहाँ हुआ था? Calcutta में हुआ था in December 1886. पहला कहाँ हुआ था? The first where it was formed in 1885 December 28. Okay, in Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit College in Bombay. But later on, in the second meeting of the second session of the Congress, where it took place at Calcutta in 1886 December, where Dadabhai Naoroji was the president. Okay, here the National Conference merged itself. The National Conference was another wing, okay, which was operating, and it merged with the Indian National Congress. The second session was attended by 436 delegates, and there were 2000 delegates in 1889. So you can see the number of participation was increasing year by year, day to day. The period from 1885 to 1905 is known as the moderate phase. So 1885 से लेके 1905 तक क्या बोलते हैं उसको moderate phase बोलता है. क्यों? क्योंकि इसमें जितने prominent leaders थे like दादाभाई नौरोजी, okay, बदरुद्दीन त्याबजी, फिरोज शाह मेहता, सुरेंद्रनाथ बैनर्जी, गोपाल कृष्ण गोखले, they were all moderates in their outlook. Moderates believed in the system of writing for some favors, from the British government, okay, of petition, of requests. They were basically requesting or giving petitions to the British government to give them certain favors for social reform, for political reform. Okay. But Dadabhai Naoroji had the opinion that we do not ask for favors and we only want justice. Dadabhai Naoroji is the author of the book Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. This is very important. Poverty and Un-British Rule in India, which contains the famous economic drain theory. Okay. अब इसमें बोला गया था इकोनॉमिक ड्रेन थ्योरी में क्या बोला गया था? इसमें बोला गया था कि हाउ द ब्रिटिश वर सक्सेसफुली टेकिंग अवे ऑल द इकोनॉमिक रिसोर्सेज ऑफ इंडिया slowly. Okay, so this economic drain theory was mentioned here in the book Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. The British Committee of the Indian National Congress was founded in 1889. Aurobindo Ghosh called INC a begging institute because that time it was mainly dominated by moderates who were of the opinion of asking for the British very politely for some reforms, political reforms. There was no system of pressurizing the British. So it was called as a begging institute by many people like Aurobindo Ghosh. Aurobindo Ghosh was a radical. Okay, Bipin Chandra Pal viewed INC playing with bubble. So many people were of the belief that this INC was basically like a begging institution. Okay, now we'll come to the next point. We'll come to Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Okay, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, who said that the INC should distinguish between begging and claiming right. And rights are not begged, they are claimed. So Tilak was of the opinion, Tilak was also not a moderate. He also was of the opinion that we have to really ask for our rights from the British. We cannot just ask, we cannot just request them politely because they will never give if we request them. Okay. Dadabhai Naoroji is also known as Grand Old Man of India, and he was the first Indian to become a member of the House of Commons on the Liberal Party's ticket. So he became a member of the House of Commons in England. So you can see how popular he was there also. He became the president of Indian National Congress in 1886, 1893 and in 1906. 3 times he became the president. He founded Gyan Prakash Mandali and Bombay Association in 1852. So Gyan Prakash Mandali, who founded? Dadabhai Naoroji. And he is also known as the father of Indian economics and politics because he worked a lot in the economic drain theory on Indian economics. We'll come to Badruddin Tyabji next, who was the first Indian barrister at Bombay High Court? Badruddin Tyabji, he was a Parsi. Even Dadabhai Naoroji was a Parsi, and he was the first. Badruddin Tyabji was the first Indian barrister at Bombay High Court. Okay, he was the first. Sorry, he was not Parsi. He was Muslim. Dadabhai Naoroji was Parsi. Okay, he was the first. My mistake. He was the first Muslim president of INC. Badruddin Tyabji was the first Muslim president of the Indian National Congress. Okay. He became the third president of INC in Madras session in 1887. So third president also he became, and he was the first Muslim president also. Okay. W.C. Banerjee founded the Bombay Chronicle in 1913, and the Moderate School was also established by W.C. Banerjee. Bombay Chronicle was a newspaper. It was established in 1913. Okay, by W.C. Banerjee. S.N. Banerjee founded the Indian Association in 1876. He was the first president of Indian National Liberal Federation. Gopal Krishna Gokhale founded the Servants of India Society in 1905. K.T. Telang became the first hard-working secretary of INC. Jawaharlal Nehru observed the early Congress to be an English-knowing upper-class affair. Okay, because that time this Congress was mainly dominated by people who were Europeanized to a certain extent, and these people were already having certain affinities to the British. They were speaking in English. They had English education. So as a result, they were not very antagonistic to the English, and they were just asking for favors from the English. So we'll come to certain other points, such as George Yule. Who was George Yule? George Yule was the first foreigner to become the president of INC. 1888, Allahabad. Okay, George Yule was the first foreigner to become the president of INC. Gopal Krishna Gokhale was popularly known as the Socrates of Maharashtra. Gokhale is considered as the political guru of Gandhi. So Gandhi was inspired by Gopal Krishna Gokhale's theories. Okay. Sarojini Naidu was the first Indian woman to become the president of Indian National Congress in 1925 Kanpur session. And who was the first woman? It was Dr. Annie Besant. And the first Indian woman was Sarojini Naidu. Okay. Then we come to Nellie Sengupta. Nellie Sengupta became the third woman president of Indian National Congress at the Calcutta session of 1906. So Nellie Sengupta was also important from the point of view that she was the third woman president of the Indian National Congress. The word Swaraj was first used in the Calcutta session in 1906. So sometimes the question comes, where was the word Swaraj used for the first time? It was used in the Calcutta session in 1906. There are something very important, like the first Indian woman president, okay, the first foreigner to become the president of INC, George Yule. Okay, these are certain important. The first Muslim president of INC, Badruddin Tyabji. Okay, so these are very important things that you have to remember. Who is known as the Grand Old Man of India, etc. So Swaraj word was first used in Calcutta session in 1906. The first joint session of Congress and Muslim League was held at Lucknow in 1916, which is also known as the Lucknow Pact. Okay, we'll come later. Okay, I have given a slide where I have combined all the important associations which were operating during our freedom struggle. Okay, from the mid 1800s to our independence. Okay, so please go through it and please remember it. So there are many important associations like Servants of India Society by Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Okay, Indian Trade Union Congress by N.M. Joshi. I have already taught this. All India Communist Party by Satya Bhakt in Kanpur, 1924. Khudai Khidmatgar Abdul Ghaffar Khan in 1928. All India Kisan Sabha. These are some important, okay, these are some important organizations. Indian Association, Ananda Mohan Bose and S.N. Banerjee. Okay, so these are important things, you have to go through them. Okay. There are some other facts which we have to remember. The first session of the INC was held in a village in at Vaizpur. Okay. The only session which was presided by Gandhi was in Belgaum in 1924. Okay. Okay. When was the complete independence demanded? It was in Lahore session in 1929. Complete independence was demanded in 1929 at the Lahore session. For the first time, national song was sung in Calcutta session 1896. The national song was sung, that is Vande Mataram was sung at the Calcutta session in 1896. During the fourth session of INC, that is in 1888, which was taken place at Allahabad, which took place at Allahabad, emphasis was given to the formation of its constitution. During Nagpur session 1891, the word national was added to the Congress. The word national was added to the Congress. Okay. Pune session, representatives for the second time discussed the formation of its constitution. In 1895, in the Pune session, the discussion for the formation of its constitution was discussed. This is important. In the Lucknow session of the Congress in 1916, okay, the extremists and the moderates, they reunited. Okay, they reunited. They had split in 1907 at Surat session, which is also popularly known as Surat split. And it reunited in the Lucknow session in 1916. Okay. Special session of the Congress, which was held in Calcutta in 1920, Gandhiji proposed to start the non-cooperation movement. So, non-cooperation movement started when? It started in 1920 at the special session of the Congress held at Calcutta. Instead of constitutional self-government, Congress declared Swaraj Party in 1922. Swaraj Party started in 1922. During the Delhi session 1923, Indian National Congress decided to establish All India Khadi Board. Okay. Okay, during the Guwahati session of INC 1926, so this is important. Guwahati session of INC 1926, wearing khadi was made compulsory for the workers. So everybody was wearing khadi because it was made compulsory. Madras session, constitution of the INC was formed in 1908. मद्रास सेशन में और क्या हुआ था? बॉयकॉटिंग ऑफ द साइमन कमीशन का डिसीजन भी लिया गया था. साइमन कमीशन को बॉयकॉट करने का डिसीजन लिया गया था. ओके. During the Karachi session, fundamental rights and economic policy proposals were passed. During the Karachi session, fundamental rights and economic policy proposals were passed. Okay. So there are some important things that we have to remember here. Okay, then there is a safety valve theory. Okay, there is a safety valve theory. This safety valve theory was actually used by the Britishers. Okay, the Congress Party was used as a safety valve because the British thought that if we make because that time the nationalistic surge was becoming very popular and people were becoming very dangerous. Radicals were coming out and attacks were being done on Britishers and a lot of rebellions were occurring. So the British thought that if we take the major Indians, the major educated Indians and give them a society and make them into a society, if we form a society of major educated Indians, then what will happen is that they will work, but they will work under our noses and they will be under our control. So this was known as the safety valve theory. But the Indian leaders were trying to use the Indian National Congress as the lightning conductor. Okay. During the Tripura session in 1939, Subhash Chandra Bose defeated Pattabhi Sitaramaiah, Gandhi's candidate, in presidential election but later resigned and Rajendra Prasad became the president. Subhash Chandra Bose defeated Pattabhi Sitaramaiah, Gandhiji's candidate, in presidential election, presidency for the INC. Subhash Chandra Bose won, but later he resigned. During Calcutta session 1928, All India Youth Congress was established. In 1928 Calcutta session, All India Youth Congress was established. You have to remember these points, okay? During the Delhi session, along with S.N. Banerjee, many liberals resigned and Rajendra Prasad became the president again. Okay. Aurobindo Ghosh published New Lamps for Old. It was the first systematic critique of the moderates. New Lamps for Old. It was published by Sri Aurobindo. Okay, then we come to the next point. The radical wing of the INC that emerged at the end of the 19th century is referred to as the extremist group. The radical group which emerged is known as the extremist group. Okay, the main leaders of the extremist group were Lala Lajpat Rai, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, B.C. Pal and Aurobindo Ghosh. And Bal Gangadhar Tilak asserted that Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it. This is important. So the important leaders of radicals were, extremist group were Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Lala Lajpat Rai, Bipin Chandra Pal and Aurobindo Ghosh. Okay, Tilak started the two newspapers, the Maratha in English and the Kesari in Marathi, and he started the Shivaji festival also to stimulate nationalism. Okay. Lord Curzon partitioned Bengal on 28th July 1905 as a part of the divide and rule policy of the English. Okay. Rabindranath Tagore composed Amar Sonar Bangla as part of the anti-partition movement, which later became the national anthem of Bangladesh. This is now the national anthem of Bangladesh, Amar Sonar Bangla. Okay, it was written by Rabindranath Tagore. Boycott of British products were first suggested by Krishna Kumar Mitra in Sanjeevani. Okay. Swadeshi movement started in 1905. The charkha, the spinning wheel, okay, जिससे हम लोग खादी का क्लॉथ बनाते थे, was used to typify the popular concern of country's economic self-sufficiency. Okay, कि इंडिया self-reliant हो सकता है कपड़ों के मामले में, तो चरखा became the जिसका जैसे हमारा इलेक्शन का लोगो होता है, उस तरह चरखा became the logo of Indian self-sufficiency. Okay. So today I think this is enough. There are some other slides that there are some other information that we'll finish in the next class. Okay. So today we have finished till the Swadeshi movement, the charkha. Okay. So thank you very much for coming and happy learning. Have a good time. Bye.